Welcome back to garageLaverty. Coming to you from inside my office this time because I didn't film an interstitial in the garage. Been working on this for a little bit. Time's getting short. I only got till August to get it together. And I'm running into some hiccups and I'm getting some stuff done. Feels like I'm working a little bit out of order and I'm really just taking things as opportunities. So in this video, I'm going to take you through a couple of things I got done and a challenge I'm having. Everything on this bike is tiny. And because everything is tiny, nothing wants to fit. So at this point, what you're going to see is a bike where I've got all the spark side pretty much wired. And now I have to figure out how I'm going to fit intake manifold in here and injectors. And I'll bring you along for the ride. First up, something that actually went to plan. I've redone the stock exhaust, I've ceramic coated it, and back here at the back I've pulled the collector off, put on a V-band clamp, and installed this Ducati Multistrada back box. It's probably going to be loud, but it looks really damn cool. And looking back here, you can kind of see, what's behind it. I needed a collector for an O2 sensor, so I figured V-band, fit it behind the shield, everybody's a winner. And it's actually pretty awesome, and it looks great, not that you'll ever see it. I still have wiring cleanup to do once this is all final and the bike runs, so you won't see all these wires here, but we've gone through, wired up the coils, and they come up through the hole where the actual stock coils used to run. And then they come up here onto a bracket that I made that hooks to the factory bracket and gives me two circuits. Basically, it was left bank, right bank in the Audi they came from. Now it's cylinders 1 and 4, 2 and 3. So I have redundancy. If I lose a coil, I can just flop these. Brown circuit to the front. We'll use the currently unused half of this driver and vice versa. So those go back into the disaster that is the rest of my wiring still. But those go back to the ECU, which lives all the way back, kind of where the CDI unit used to live. Didn't really want to put it there originally. It ended up being the best possible place, all things considered, even if I do have to deal with all this wiring. So the coils get grounded out. So there's a ground wire coming back here, and it just mounts to this bolt on the other side of the bike. So between that gets me computer control, my igniter, and then my coils. All this to fire CDI. But it gets me computer control of my timing. Everything should just be better for me. I'm not prepared to do a total breakdown of the wiring right now, but kind of a quick sense of what's going on. I tapped in here to the factory temp sensor. So this wire comes back to this connector. And I grabbed here to sort the Megasquirt temp control. I took a reading off that sensor to build a curve, and I'll be good to go from there. I just got to plug that into Tuner Studio. This is my VR wiring to my custom wheel. So this is off the Megasquirt and ties into the yellow and black wires that go up front to the timing wheel. I'm reusing the stock pickup there. I think we already talked about this, but the red wire that used to go to the coils is now my trigger wire for my new relays. Because it's the far side of the switch, and more importantly, the far side of this guy. When you kill this, it kills the red wire that used to kill the coils. So this gives me key control and then also separate engine kill switch. So we've done that. What else? I've already gone through the coils and another snippet here. There's not a whole ton of interface points. What's actually ended up being the bigger challenge is finding power. So my white wire is key power. No, excuse me, that's direct battery power. the red wire is key power. This one off the main fuse is direct battery power. So I'm running it back here to a new relay box. And this will be a fuel pump relay. This will be the main relay. The main relay will control coil, ignition, and ECU. The fuel pump relay will be a little bit bigger than it is and control just the fuel pump. So this yellow wire that you can see running out from here will eventually be my fuel pump wire. I ran the coil wire up front to give 12 volt to my coils. So that is, unfortunately, I'm repeating some wires here, but that's the white wire that I ran up here. And the ignition will be, I can't remember what color that is right now. But when I get there, I'll share it with you. This is becoming an adventure at this point. So packaging is an absolute pain in the ass. This is manifold attempt 1. Working on manifold attempt 2 here. And I keep running into a consistent problem. And that is, the front edge is here. The throttle bodies are here, or the head surface is here. And so that leaves me in trying to create runners as an adventure. And knowing that everything now needs to live in the same place. So if you look, we've got kind of a free-floating manifold here that I still haven't figured out how I'm going to locate the throttle body on. And we've got the 4 intake inlet runners there. And I know the injector is going to have to come in from this side to get the straightest in to the throttle bodies. Or, I keep saying throttle bodies. I need the straightest shot for the fuel to the valve face. Which means I can't put it this way because it's going to rebound off of here. And I'm looking at the idea of doing a slight up with the injector and then a 90 into the manifold under here. But that puts a big stop to airflow right before it gets there. And I'm not a big fan of that, but it may be what I have to do. If I do that, though, I run into a secondary problem. And that is throttle body. So I did the math. And 430 millimeter throttle bodies have the same surface area, roughly, as 156 mil, real easy to wire in, Volkswagen throttle body. And depending on where I want to put it, it biases the airflow into the manifold pretty heavily. And if I put it here, it gets right into where I'm going to need to pull the fuel down for the fuel pump. So it's not really good here. It's not really good here. I can't run it up front because that's all dead air. And obviously with the fairings on, all it's going to be is hot air from the radiator. And even after that, if I do all of this, it's going to want to pull the cam on the throttle body the wrong way. And I'd have to run the throttle cable back and then forward. So packaging is an utter pain in the ass here, keeping in mind that I still have to fit a fuel filter, a high pressure fuel pump, and all the assorted lines to make that happen in here. So I've tried a couple of different shapes. This one gives me more manifold volume, which is nice. But unfortunately, let me move this out of the way here so you can see this. Unfortunately, what we run into is because of the placement of the intake runners, even if I can use all this space here, I'm still running the runners in at the very, very back, and I still don't have room for a throttle body. So suddenly at this point, I'm putting the throttle body here, which is not really giving me a lot of room. My original plan was to mount it at an angle. That just squeezes me for room even more. If I go to the center here, I start giving up fuel pump room. If I go to the top, I start getting in clearance issues with the gas tank. I do have a little bit of room, but math tells me my runners need to be 7 inches long for the torque peak of this motor. So I'm kind of stuck with this. It's 3 inches. Let me get my pointers on here. So it's 3 inches from the valve face to this level surface, which means I still need to fit 4 inches of runner here, and I only have about 8 inches of room to the gas tank total. I'm not converting that into metric. Sorry, hang on. Maybe I will. Aha, my handy dandy. So I have about 75 millimeters of runner I need to find room for, and about 20. Oh man, math is hard. And about 20 millimeters of, that is not 20 millimeters. What? No. Anyway, conversions, fractions, mathing. It's all terrible. Regardless, sorry, my brain is mush. Regardless, I start running out of room real quick. So the box manifold is out because the runners come into the very back and I don't have room for my throttle body. The round manifold has way less plenum volume, but it, well, now it's there, and doesn't solve the core problem of buying me any more room. I'm starting to look at the idea of potentially finding another set of carburetors and just building a TBI system. So I'm running out of ideas here and time runs short. But on the bright side, I have injector drivers. I have a V8 worth of them. So these are off of an Audi A8, 1998 or so. And this is enough drivers for 8 cylinders. I'm only running 4. And I'm carrying my own spares essentially. Because I'm running this to nearly triple the RPM it expects, I figured I'd keep heat down by only running 2 cylinders off of each 4-cylinder pack. And the nice thing about that is if I blow up a coil with my dwell settings, well, shoot, all I got to do is swap the wiring at the head and then swap the wiring at the tail, and I have 2 unused drivers on each pack. So I get to carry my own spares, which is pretty nice. Coil wiring's done, not plugged in. It's hiding way over here with everything else. So everything's good to go there. But right now, my blocker for finishing this wiring is I can't run idle air control till I know where the throttle body is. I can't run TPS till I know where the throttle body is. Or excuse me, intake air, not idle air. I'm not gonna run an idle air controller. I'm hitting a point where I'm at the edge of what I can do without getting that manifold built. So, good times, fun adventures. That's where we find ourselves after multiple weeks of no updates. I am at a crossroads with the manifold, kind of determining what I'm going to pick up next, what's going to happen, and I'm just going to start picking off projects of opportunities I can while I figure out the intake manifold situation. So I need to build a chain guard. Bonneville rules are going to require that I have one longer than stock and made out of not plastic. So I'm going to work on that in the next few days. I got to get a back wheel on it. I had an intention to run a ZXR 400 rear wheel because it would give me a 17-inch tire instead of an 18. I got the wheel and didn't realize I needed so many of the supporting pieces that I can't carry over from the 250. Because of that, I've got to go with the 18. So I'm going to put the back wheel on, get the chain guard built. Once I figure out where everything is, what pieces I need, start getting the body work back on it. I should be able to get the back together here pretty soon and get all the extra wires you saw sticking out of the Mega Squirt removed from it. Get those things done. Keep moving forward. I'm hoping within the next month or so to have it on a dyno because I'm running out of time. We've got everything booked for the summer. I gotta have this together. So yeah, time's running short and I really have nothing better to do but sit in the garage. So until next time, I'm going back out there.